What's up, YouTube world? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dusty, and this is the Shred Academy. Today, we're going to be redoing one of my 3-part breakdowns, and that's the whip. Today, we'll be making it into one video so it's easier to watch and hopefully better. The whip is comprised of 3 different things. First, it's initiated with a carve off the lip. Then it's followed by a shoulder rotation and a hip rotation. Today, I'm going to break this down into 3 steps. First, we're going to learn to turn bar, just to rotate the bars and learn. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to carve off the lip, simply jumping from the right side of the lip, trying to go to the left side of the landing and not shooting off the trail. And then finally, we'll put those 2 together and add a little bit of hip movement and talk about the landing. So without talking anymore, let's get to it. Now, our first step is to learn the turn bar. The turn bar is a super easy maneuver to catch a little style, and it's simply turning the bar to the left, or to the right, or to the left, okay? And just getting a little steez out of it. Now, we want to execute this maneuver after we've taken off the lip. If we start to turn our bar before our rear tire has left the lip, we may have a tendency to fall from one side to the other because the pulling is going to be different. So try to make sure as you're going up the lip that you're not turning your bars until you've left the lip.
All right, guys, we're going to go through this turn bar. It's a fairly simple maneuver. We're going to approach this jump just like we would any other jump in a relaxed attack position, wide elbows, looking down trail, and chest kind of pointing down trail, not facing down at the ground. Now, as I approach this, I'm going to preload at the bottom of the lip, and as I start to explode up the lip, everything is the same as any other jump. Now, you could start to turn the bar now, but until you're comfortable with this, if you turn the bar now, it could cause you to start to fall to one side or the other depending on which way you're going to turn bar. So until you get comfortable with this, you'll want to wait until you've left the lip, and then you can initiate your turn bar. Now what you're going to do is you're basically, whichever way you're turning the bar, here I'm turning the bar to the right, so I'm going to tuck my right elbow inside of my waist, and I'm going to bring the left arm kind of over top of the bike. Now as well, I'm going to add just a little bit of shoulder rotation to the right as well. The more you rotate the shoulders, the more that's going to initiate the bike to turn in the air. So make sure until you're comfortable with this that you're not over rotating your shoulders. You can essentially do this just by rotating the handlebars. So as I leave this lip, I'm going to tuck that hand here. And now we could start to do a whole nother maneuver and start to pull the bike up and get a table, but we'll save that for another day. Now notice that my left arm has kind of come over top. My right arm is tucked in there. And now I'm going to hold this for basically the duration of the arc. Now I want to also say that if you're just starting, you can just turn bar a little bit. You don't have to get your bars completely 90 degree to your top tube. Or parallel to it. I forget the terminology. Sometimes words are hard for me, as you guys already know. So just do with what you're comfortable with. Just rotate a little bit by little bit until you get comfortable. Now, all the time, spotting my landing here. As I start to fall, you're going to rotate the bars back to center. If you don't rotate the bars back to center, things are going to go poorly for you. Now, I'm going to impact with my front tire first and then my rear tire. And then just like always, I'm going to set my full body weight into that bottom bracket. So as I come in here, front tire, rear tire, weight into bottom bracket. Notice that I'm still covering the brakes with single or one finger braking. So if anything goes wrong at any point, I'm able to shut the bike down as best to my ability, and I don't have to wait to get my finger back over the brake. And then we just ride away and get ready for the next jump. Now again, I want to say that the longer the tabletop distance, the more time you're going to have to turn the bar. If it's a short jump, you may only get a quick turn bar out of it. So just be nice to yourself. Don't try to, overdo it. All right, I hope you guys get that and that was helpful. Let's move on.
Now that you've got that turn bar pretty dialed, it's time to move on to step 2, and that's learning to carve off the lip. However, we don't want to add step 1 into step 2 until we get to step 3. So for now, we're just going to learn how to carve off the lip. Now, carving off the lip is going to help us initiate the whip, but it's not the only thing that's going to get us sideways. So in this step, please don't try to get yourself sideways. We're just practicing initiating the whip with this carve, really just jumping from either the right or left side of the lip to the right or to the left side of the landing.
All right, guys, let's break down carving off the lip. Now, here is the center of the jump. Now, I'm going to go off the right side and carve, or the left side, and carve over to the right side of the landing. If you're going to whip the other direction, you'd want to go off the right side of the jump and land on the left side of the landing. So just pick whatever side you'd like to go to. This is my most comfortable direction. So as I come in here, I'm going to be in my normal attack position, just like the skill we did before. Head facing down trail, chest pointing down trail, elbows out wide. So now as we come in here, you'll notice I preload my body weight and I start to go up the ramp. Now as I go up the ramp, I'm going to initiate the carve right about here. If you initiate it too late, you're going to feel like you're not going anywhere from one side to the other. So I initiate the carve here, and I'm going to start to point my shoulders in the direction that I want to go, as well as I'm going to rotate my hips in the direction that I want the bike to go, just like you would in a cornering situation. Now, as I lean the bike over, notice that I'm not just turning the bar. I'm really just dipping the bike over, and this front wheel will dip ever so slightly, allowing me to kind of create this small arc here. Now, as we go off the lip, I explode up, and notice that my shoulders are pointed over towards that direction, and the same thing, I'm opening up my hips, as well as my body has a slight lean. Now, I also want to say the more you lean your bike, the more you're going to be going towards a kind of scrubbing whip, and that takes a lot more skill. So make sure that you're not over carving, and over carving will also have you feel like you're just shooting off the side of the trail. So as I go off the lip, right, and now once I'm going off the lip, I can start to turn my shoulders back to straight down the landing again, and I'll follow with my hips. Now I'm also going to make sure that that front wheel is pointed down the landing. So let's go here, we'll finish out this one, and now let's go over and we'll look at this from the front view. All right, let's get a front view of this carve off the lip. We're in a little scrub up there off this step down. Now, again, approaching in that relaxed attack position, elbows wide. And now I start to carve up the lip. Notice that there's a slight lean, okay? There's a slight dip in the front wheel, which helps initiate that carve, but I'm not steering. I'm cornering more or less. So carving up that lip, notice that I'm looking to where I'm gonna go. So once I go off the lip, these shoulders start to open up, as well as my hips. As I start to go through the jump, now I'm pointed to where I'm going to be going, and now I'm going to start to look down the landing to see where I need to go next. As well, I'm going to rotate my shoulders back to going straight down the landing, as well as my hips will rotate back to the same direction. Impact with that front tire first, set the rear tire down, straight down into the bottom bracket, one finger braking, and I am focused on down trail. Super simple, just a slight carve off that lip. Notice how I do have a slight body lean. Wow, that was really hard to get out. But I'm not getting my body all the way over. So be careful that you're not over leaning, because you'll feel the wheels start to kind of almost slip out as they go off the edge of the lip. So again, hips and shoulders rotate, head always looking where I'm headed next, and then make sure that you point this wheel down the landing. Boom. All right, guys, we'll see you when we add these two motions together, these two steps together in step 3.
All right, guys, now that you have the turn bar pretty dialed and you can carve off the lip, it's time to add step 1 into step 2 and add a little shoulder movement and a little hip movement and get that bike sideways. Public service announcement. We're trying to whip the bike, and if you're trying to look at the rear end of the bike coming around, you're stopping the rotation, and you more or less look like a fish out of water, and we call that the fish whip. So as we go through this process, don't look at your rear tire. It's stopping all the motion of getting your bike sideways, and no one wants to look like a fish out of water.
Hey everybody, just a quick tip. You still need to stick to that true J-hop form and make sure you're not jumping up the lip, but you're jumping off the lip. You still need to create this counterweight here with your body, with your upper body, so that this front wheel can continue in the air at the same angle as the lip. If you let this fall, you're going to feel like you're getting bucked, and you'll also be going sideways. So make sure that you're not jumping up the lip, you're jumping off the lip, and as well, you're accepting the arc that you're going to take. You're not trying to simply get from point A to point B. You want to make sure that you're taking the arc.
Quick side note, guys. If you're on a shorter jump, try to make sure that you're not trying to get super sideways, because getting the bike back straight again is going to be really difficult. And if you continuously land with that rear end completely sideways, you're putting a lot of unnecessary stress on your linkage and rear wheel. So if you're starting small, just get the bike sideways a little bit. Don't try to go fully sideways until you're on a bigger jump. Okay.
All right, let's add steps 1, the turn bar, and carving up the lip to create a whip. Now you're going to approach this just as normal, relaxed attack position, so that we can do a nice body preload at the bottom of the lip. And right as we start to go up that lip, we're going to initiate that carve, and we're going to slightly lean the body over. Now make sure again that you're not over leaning, because as you're learning this, you don't want to feel those tires slipping out as you're leaving the lip. Now, as we go up the lip here, we're going to explode, and as we explode, we're going to initiate that turn bar, starting to tuck this arm in and bring this arm over. As well, my shoulders are going to rotate, and my hips are going to follow suit. So as we go off the lip, turn bar, my hips facing this direction, or better yet, kind of that direction, allows the rear end of the bike to start to come around. Now, the more I rotate my shoulders,
the more is going to allow this rear end to come around and get the bike sideways. But you have to realize that once you start to descend from this arc, you're going to need to get that bike straight again. And that's when we start to turn the bike back the other way by rotating our shoulders and our hips back in the other direction. Let's have a look at this at speed here. Boom, 1, and go. So if we go again at this, we'll just look at it nice and slow. Preloading at the bottom of the lip, initiating that carve off the lip, getting a good explosion, making sure that I still have tension on the bars and I'm not leaning forward over the bike. I've got to still create this counterweight to keep this front wheel going in the air. We're not trying to scrub and keep the bike low. We're trying to still get a good arc and get that bike sideways. So as we go through, rotating those bars, shoulders, and hips. Once I know that I'm starting to descend, we start rotating the body, the bars, shoulders, hips, bars, back to center so we can touch down and ride away straight. Now we're going to go and get another look at this from the front. We're going to have a look at the same jump from the front view. But as I come in here, take a look up in the right corner. There's a step down there, and I'm going to go through almost the same motions as the whip, but we're going to scrub. We're going to stay low. We're going to carve, kind of turn the bars just to stay low. That's scrubbing speed. So there's a difference between a scrub and a whip. We'll make a video on that shortly. So as we approach the lip, nice relaxed attack position, we're going to get our body preload, and we're going to initiate that carve. Again, quarter to halfway up that lip. We're going to get a slight body lean on so we can get a good initiation of that whip. Now, as our front wheel leaves, that's going to allow our shoulders to start to rotate. We'll start to turn that bar a little bit. As soon as our rear end leaves, we're going to start to rotate those hips as well to open up our hips so that rear end can come out to the side. So as we go through the air, okay, we're about midway. Let me see if I can zoom out. There we go. And now you can see that I'm starting to turn my shoulders back to going down the landing, as well as my hips are opening back up to come down the landing. And as I start to descend, I'm going to point that bar straight down the landing. Now, you definitely do not want to land sideways, okay? You can land at a little angle here. You see that my front tire lands, and then my back tire still comes around, and I land pretty even. The more you land like this, the more you're going to have linkage issues, and you're going to put some really good bends in your rear wheel. So make sure that you're not getting so sideways that you can't get yourself back to center again. And again, we're going to set that front tire down, kind of absorb with our arms. Notice that I'm looking down trail. I'm not looking at the front of the bike, so I can take care of whatever's coming next. We're going to set that rear tire down, and then our body will go straight down into that bottom bracket. All right, guys, so that's the whip. Let's have a quick look at it in real time here. Real time, boom. All right, come around the corner, little scrub, and a little whip. Guys, I hope this helps. We'll see you in the next one. Well, everybody, that's going to do it for whips for beginners. Now, we will do a series on bigger jumps and how to get the bike sideways, a little more confident, but this was a great base to start. I want to thank you to my Patreons for signing up. I really appreciate your support. If you'd like to support the channel, links in the description. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Remember to ride hard, ride safe, be kind to each other. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.